Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a showcase / review video of some battle mats and terrain stuff from Urbanmatz.com. Martin from Urbanmatz got in touch with me just before Christmas and asked me if I'd be interested in showcasing some of his stuff on the channel, and I said I'd be very much interested because frankly nobody sends me anything, so this is quite unusual really. So what he sent me is some battle mats and 2 terrain sets. So I'm going to get all this opened up, probably make a huge mess, and we'll take a look at it. I think starting with the battle mats. So don't mind the battle damage. That's my fault. That wasn't the postman's fault, as it turns out. So here it all is, all packaged up, and I shall get it open. Luckily, I have the perfect tool for such a job. Courage and honour! Anyway, so here's the battle mats. As you can see, they come in these handy dandy carry case things. In my case, they're probably always going to end up rolled out on the table here and all piled up. And I will have to figure out where to put the carry cases, and then I'll probably lose them for when I actually need them. But it's pretty cool nevertheless. If you're someone who travels around a lot with your 40k, probably quite invaluable in fact. So there you go. Alright, here's mat number 1. As you can see, it's a kind of generic wastelandy, sort of vaguely grassy, vaguely rocky kind of surface, which is good. Generic is nice, generic is good. You get a lot more mileage out of it than you do with something a bit more fancy looking. You can plop down a whole variety of different things on this, some big rocks, some canyons, some buildings, all sorts really. You could do a ruined little town, you could do all sorts. Great, that's kind of why I wanted to go for this one, because I imagine this one will see a lot of use on the channel as I try and mix things up a bit and get the most that I can out of the scenery setup that I've actually got. So there you go. I forget what the names of these exact mats are called, but rest assured down in the description below there will be links to each of the products featured here to the Urbanmatz store page for them if you want to go check them out yourself. And here's mat number 2. As you can see, it's a lot greener than the last one. I went for this one because I figured at some point I'd like to do some sort of jungly kind of battlefields, perhaps. Obviously, Death World jungles are a big thing in 40k, with counter-chan and everything. And I kind of like jungle battles. They're cool. They always look very impressive on the table, so I decided to go for this. It'll fit quite nicely with some of the big rocks I think I've already got. The trees and some of the ruins as well, I reckon, but I also want to get some jungle terrain in as well in the very near future, and this will fit very nicely for it. And behold, battle mat number 3. This one obviously is a kind of industrial thing. We go from the jungles to the, I don't know, the bowels of the Underhive, perhaps, a Martian-style Forge World, something like that, I reckon. Obviously, the reason I went for this one is because it would make a great one if you wanted to put up some wall pieces and stuff and do a Zone Mortalis style game, or just wanted to represent a really, really heavy industrial environment. Plonk down some of the industrial terrain bits I've got, lots of crates and things. I think it'd make a pretty good battle on a Forge World or something like that, I reckon. So that's why I picked this one up, because I didn't really have anything like that already. Lots of sort of outdoor environments, but nothing that's really like this. So that fills a niche, which is quite nice. And battle mat numero 4, which as you can see is a desert style mat. Obviously picked it up for desert style battles, which I didn't have any of so far going forward. So, but now I will, which is good. Desert battles again, kind of like jungle battles. It's a 40k. It's a 40k staple really. I'm thinking back to sort of stuff like was it Glazer's Creek in the Old White Dwarfs? These sort of Rorke's Drift style battle they did with Orcs versus Imperial Guard, and also you've got the Talon and stuff as well. So desert battles are definitely a thing in 40k, and it's nice to be able to represent them on the table here. So this is a good mat for that. It's also kind of, it's a nice colour as well. It's not like really bright yellowy sand. It's sort of like an orangey sand. So at a push, you could use this as well to represent a kind of a Forge World kind of environment. Again, a sort of vaguely Martian style environment. For example, it would work well as maybe like a 2-part mission if you wanted to do this and then move beneath the surface or something, and you could use this industrial setup instead as well, which is kind of cool. Something maybe I'll do in the future, we'll see. But there it is. So that's all the battle mats. Let's have a look at some of the terrain bits. And there's the first terrain set I have now extracted from the box, and there's tiny bits of polystyrene floating around everywhere, which will probably not be tidied up in 1,000 years. But nevertheless, here it all is. A little bit of glare on the camera because they are quite shiny, but this is the first kind of industrial Mechanicus style terrain set here. We've got these big silo things. We've got these sort of huts that like barrack buildings to me or something like that. Sort of barricades, which are nice because I often find I just never have enough barricades for some damn reason whenever I'm building tables. But we've got these landing pad things and some miscellaneous buildings as well. All look very nice. They're actually quite well suited to this this desert battle mat here, I have to admit. And I would not be surprised if we were to roll this over. Yeah, they look pretty good on there too, actually. Nice. Alright, well that'll fit quite nicely with at least 2 of my battle mats. That fits really well, actually. Nice. Anyway, so that's the first set. This is the industrial one. I quite like this because I don't have enough industrial stuff, really, to be honest with you. Not enough to fill a table with, but now, it's different. Very different. And I like the Mechanicus theme of it as well, because I am working on a Mechanicus army for the channel, and I'll be previewing some of those guys pretty soon, and this is a really great fit for them as well. So, very nice, very nice. Makes a change from just destroyed buildings all the time, I think. So, and as I said, yeah, they fit really nicely on this industrial mat as well, which means get some cool Forge World battles going on, that sort of thing, in the future. Alright, let's go have a look at number 2. And here's the second terrain set, which as you can see is basically a big pile of rocks. Desert rocks, to be specific. Desert rocks to go with the desert battle mat. Useful things, these. Provide you with a bit of line of sight blocking and flesh out the battlefield a little bit more. And I didn't really have a lot of desert themed terrain, so I figured I'd probably ought to get some big rocks or something to make this battle mat really work, along with the other things I've already got. But here they are. Not bad. Now, in case you're wondering, yes indeed, this is all pre-painted. What you see here is exactly what it looks like when you get it out of the box. In both cases, looks exactly like this. It's made out of this sort of resin stuff. So, for the most part, it's pretty tough. However, I have to say, one of these big... it actually comes with 3 of these big towers here. And me, in my, well, clumsy manner, managed to break one of them. So, full disclosure, they're, these ones in particular, these are rock solid. These they're actually hollow, as I've discovered. And they can be a little bit fragile around the midriff if you're not. So if you handle them like a normal human being instead of a gorilla like me, you should be fine. But it's just worth noting that in the case of these ones particularly, they're not quite as solid as they look. So do try and be careful with them. But other than that, they look pretty good, especially for pre-painted. Sometimes with pre-painted stuff, you kind of expect it to maybe look kind of awful, but these actually look all right, especially on a table with loads of other stuff to add context, and also, you know, viewed from a distance on a camera, particularly in my case. But it's great if you're like me and you don't have a lot of time. I barely managed to keep up with painting and building my own armies, let alone building and painting terrain and stuff on top of that. So pre-painted, pre-built stuff like this is very helpful. So there's the 2 terrain sets. I've shown you the battle mats. I think just to finish off, we'll see if we can't assemble this into something interesting as a table to actually play a game on. Alright, there we go. That's not too bad. As you can see, I've not had to use even close to both the entire sets to get something decent set up here. This kind of outpost with the silos and the launch pad thing over there, the landing pad. Out here in the middle of the desert, we've got the big rocks around the outside. Looks pretty good to me. So that's what it looks like on the table with just the Urbanmatz stuff. Not bad, I think, for your average casual game that you're not filming for YouTube. This would be pretty sweet, actually. I'd play a game on this. I'd be quite happy with this, actually. Lots of line of sight blocking stuff around the place as well. Very good. some bits in the corners for you to hide things behind as well, that kind of thing. I'm going to go one step further though. I'm going to go ahead and add the usual other gubbins and stuff to try and make it look extra pretty for YouTube, and then I'll come back when I've done that. Ta-da! Here we go. I've added a few bits of GW stuff, some of the ubiquitous gravel, and a few bits of like lichen to use as like desert scrub. And I think that's a pretty sweet looking table. If I do say so myself, of course, but that's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's still kind of open. A desert battle is gonna probably be open for the most part, to be fair. That comes with the territory, but also that's actually with a good reason I've left it mostly open. I could have added a lot more stuff on here, more piles of crates and what have you, maybe some extra buildings and stuff, but I've left it deliberately open because I'm going to be playing a game on this table later, which actually will require it to be open with a bit of space to move around, and you'll see why when you see that video. But hey, so there it is. It looks pretty nice to me. As I was setting this up, actually, there was one thing that occurred to me about these desert rocks, which I think is worth pointing out, is one of the things I like about them is that it's not immediately obvious what their scale is, which means that you could quite easily use them for something like Adeptus Titanicus. And they would work just as well as really, really huge desert rock formations for your titans to walk amongst and around and stuff like that. So that's another selling point for these, I reckon, is the fact that they actually can work well for games with different scales. So, for example, Titanicus, or if you're going non-GW, you'd have your Flames of War, for example, and also, hell, if you're playing Bolt Action, these are good as well, because they're not immediately, obviously, sci-fi 40k, are they? They'll do for just about any old desert. So if you want to do some Bolt Action North Africa stuff, I think they'd work pretty good for that too. So, there you go. There's the table. I tell you what, just for some context, and for some scale as well, I'll chuck a few models on it. There we go, got the models on the table now. So we've got some Imperial Knights for scale over here, little armature Helverin there. We've got some Skitarii down by the barricades at the front. We've got some Ogrins up on the landing pad there, and a Lehman Russ tank down next to it there. Just so you can see what it looks like with some models on it, with the context, as you say. And, you know, also for scale purposes as well. So, because it can be very difficult to gauge how big terrain pieces and models and things are in a video like this. I can appreciate that, so I've tried to add these for some scaling. So there you go. This is all from, well, you know which bits I mean, not all of this, but Urbanmatz.com. They give you pre-painted terrain and battle mats, and I think they're pretty good. Go check them out. Links in the description below to all the products that were featured in this video. And that's the lot. Happy wargaming, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.